My name is Mackenzie Felposh. I'm the Education Programming Manager here at MASB. It's nice to see. Hi, Monica, Chris, Mary, Jennifer. Nice to see you all here. Glad you're with us. And my co-presenter and colleague, I'll have her introduce herself too, please.
Hi everyone, I am Megan McVitie. I'm the Certification Manager and Instructional Designer at MASB, and I'm so happy to be here with you this afternoon.
We've got a lot of good content coming your way. Gonna spend some time thinking about board development and how MASB can walk alongside you as you grow and learn in the world of board service. As we're still waiting for people to pop in, and I'm seeing lots of familiar faces and new faces, or names, I guess, not faces. Can't see your faces. In the chat, if you want to keep saying hello there, we always love to see that. And I want to give you just a couple of instructions about how we'll work together today. Megan and I are going to move through some information for you, and we will be taking your questions toward the end of our time together. We've blocked off time specifically for that, but you don't need to wait until the end to ask those questions. At the bottom of your Zoom screen should be an icon that says Q&A. You can feel free at any time to drop a question there. And our colleague Cindy Holmes is with us today as well. Cindy is going to help us work through those questions when we get to our Q&A time. Chat is available too. If you're struggling with the Q&A feature, feel free to drop it in the chat. We have staff that's there monitoring the chat, and we'll be able to share from that space as well. You can keep an eye on the chat too for links that we'll be sharing and any other information that we can pass along to you today. We'll be sure to share that in the chat as well. Well, with that, I think we will get rolling here this afternoon. So we are talking about MASB's CBA program and kind of the larger world of board development. And as Megan and I were thinking about how we wanted to frame this idea, I couldn't help but think about an analogy that I came across some time ago that has just stuck with me. And it's the idea that, when we're kids and we are learning to ride a bike, parents don't think, grown-ups don't think, I'm going to give this child a bicycle and they will just know how to ride it, right? We don't give a human being a bicycle and think, okay, now they have the equipment, they can clearly ride in the Tour de France, right? We expect that training is necessary for an individual to be able to do that. And the same thing is true with a sport like crew, right? We don't take 8 people who each individually know how to row and think that they can race as a crew team. We expect that some development as a team is going to be necessary. And the same thing is true for board members, right? Each person comes to the board table with experiences and skills that are incredibly meaningful, or they wouldn't be there. But everyone still has things to learn. And the governance team as a whole has to learn how to work together, just like that team rowing crew, right? We want to learn how to leverage one another's strengths and how to work in such a way that the district gets propelled forward, right? So that's when we're thinking about development, that's the kind of development that we're going to focus on, both as individuals and as a whole team. So, Megan, if you would go to the next slide for me, please. Thank you. So like I said, very few people come to the board table fully equipped for this job. There's a lot to learn and there's a lot at stake, right? So we're dealing with two of our community's most valuable items, our most valuable resources, kids and money, right? And we want to be good stewards of them both. And development is one of the ways that we take that desire to do good in our communities, to do well by the trust that our communities have given us, and we turn that into a reality. So every workshop that we attend, every book that we read, every course we complete, we watch our knowledge and our skills grow. And of course, that kind of development is an investment of time and resources. One of the things that we hear a lot is, especially from new board members, but from veterans as well, is some hesitancy, some concern about training being a drain on a district's resources. That they think that, if I spend money on taking a class, then I'm robbing a student of those funds. And I think it's important right at the beginning to say, we want to invite you to think about that differently. First, to understand that that's not how budgets are going to be set up. That your district making an investment in you and in your governance team is a worthy effort. And by doing so, it increases your knowledge, it grows your leadership abilities, and your district and student achievement will be, they will expand, right? Your effectiveness as a board increases when you invest in your development. We'll talk about more of that in just a little bit, but let's address, before we jump into kind of some heavier meat of what we're going to talk about, we wanted to address one more area of concern when it comes to board development, and that's, what will our community think?
So, in February of 2014, MASB commissioned questions on the EPIC MRA statewide survey of likely voters. These questions asked voters how important they believed it was for elected school board members to receive formal professional development instruction in the laws and policies affecting public K-12 school districts, and whether or not they favored legislation that would require a minimum level of such instruction. Nearly 74% reported their belief that formal professional development instruction for school board members was either essential or at least very important. Of those 74%, 80% of respondents reported favoring legislation to require this professional development for school board members. These results clearly illustrate the importance of school board development, and that's why we're here today.
Thanks, Megan. Forgot to unmute myself. So, like every organization, MASB has its own language, its own jargon, and we wanted to define a couple terms for you that we'll spend time talking about in the rest of our time together this afternoon. So the first one, Megan, is CBA.
So let's start here. What is the CBA program? The Certified Board Member Awards program offers school board leaders a way to develop new skills, stay up to date on educational issues, and earn recognition for continued learning as a school board member. There are over 65 classes available to take at 3 varying levels. The 100 level courses offer basic skills and a foundation on which to build. The 200 and 300 level courses are more detailed and allow us to dive deeper into respective topics. So there are several ways that you can participate in a CBA class. We offer in person when it's safe to do so. And as we've said, a silver lining to this pandemic has been our transition to virtual. So we began offering classes over Zoom last year at the start of the pandemic, and they've been a great success. The ease of access has made it possible for anyone across the state to join without having to worry about travel. So even though virtual has been a necessity right now, we will continue to offer virtual CBA courses even after we're able to return to normal. The final way you can participate in a CBA course is through our online classes that you can complete at your own pace. We currently have almost all of the 100 level courses available in this format and are working hard to increase our online offerings. CBA 107, Labor Relations, is the next class that will be made available in the near future. Board development and CBAs can be completed individually or as a whole board. We love seeing a whole board attend a conference or CBA course together. It really solidifies their commitment to learning as a governance team, team being the key word there. So you can read more about the CBA program as well as view a list of the courses and their descriptions by visiting masb.org/CBAs. So now that we've talked a little bit about the CBA program, how can you sign up and when can you participate in a CBA class? These are great questions. We hold a number of institutes each year. We typically have Winter Institute in February, Spring Institute in April, and Summer Institute in August. While there is a corresponding conference that starts off each institute weekend that Mackenzie will share more about in just a second, Friday evenings and all day Saturday and Sunday are reserved for CBA classes. Our next institute, Summer, will be held virtually August 6th through 8th. You can find the complete list of CBAs being offered on our calendar or by visiting the link on your screen. That link will also allow you to register online. Another great way to interact with CBAs is through our annual leadership conference, or ALC. It's held each fall and is another way for us to all be together. That's another topic Mackenzie's going to talk about in just a moment. Our schedule is in progress, and we look forward to sharing it with you as we get closer to the event.
So we have events like CBA classes and weekend institutes that happen seasonally and our annual leadership conference where we invite you to come and join us. But we also have workshops that we come to you. And we call those our custom in-district workshops. And this is really where we see MASB there to meet your need, right? Every district has different goals, different challenges, and we want to be able to come alongside you and meet you right where you are. So MASB's staff, as well as our cadre of consultants, are ready to be in your district to help you learn and grow and overcome whatever you are working through. And our staff will help you, they'll listen to you, and will come up with a plan that is just for your district. A couple popular workshops that we wanted to bring to your attention are things like the board self-assessment. So the board self-assessment is a free tool that MASB offers its members where you can go online and go through a self-assessment, each member of your board, and you just get those results. And we will come in and facilitate a conversation around that with a focus on mapping a path forward. Another thing that we can bring to you, just as an example, is a workshop around team building, right? And we want to think about team building as more than just like trust falls we did at summer camp when we were younger. It's really about thinking that every time a new board member is seated, we have a new team. It changes, the dynamics change. So having a workshop like this, really we're looking at communication and culture and trust and accountability and how we can grow those things together as a team. So, whatever it is that we're looking to do, right, whatever the outcome is, whether it's, growing our culture, cohesion as a team, trust, accountability, short term, long term, we can walk with you through those things. So I would invite you, if that's something that is percolating as you are hearing about this, to reach out to us. You can contact Debbie Stair on our team, or just email leadership services at masb.org, and we can talk about a custom workshop. So we've talked a couple of times about the annual leadership conference. We are very excited about it. We are right in the midst of planning, kind of in the thick of things. This year's conference is slated for November 11th through 14th. It is a time when board members from all over the state of Michigan converge and spend days learning, hearing about research and best practices. We get legislative updates. We spend time together networking and building connections. We have sponsors and partners that we meet at an exhibit show. It's a really powerful, meaningful 4 days. This year, we're going to be in Grand Rapids. We do move around the state. So if Grand Rapids is quite a trek for you, you can know that the trek will be shorter the next time, hopefully. And as Megan said, we really see this as an ideal environment for your board to attend together if possible, that you're hearing the same things, experiencing the same things, talking together about what you're learning. And we want to make sure that you hear right away that you don't need to worry about the Open Meetings Act around learning events, that the OMA excludes learning together. You're just not going to want to talk about board business, right? So you can always check with our attorneys if you need clarification on that. But we are so excited about Annual Leadership Conference this year. We are planning a hybrid event for the first time. So we will be in person in Grand Rapids and also have the event live online for virtual attendees. So it's going to be a good 4 days. We are working hard and excited to see you, whether it's in Grand Rapids or online.
So now that we know a little bit more about our continued education events, we know that they're important to you, to us, to your community, and we really want to help you obtain those opportunities. So the MASB Member Assistance Fund started as a pilot program in 2019 and 2020, and it will continue through the 2020-2021 year to help defray costs of districts who are experiencing financial hardship or who may see costs as a deterrent to accessing any of the services or events that we offer. A school board may apply for a 50% discount off an MASB service or workshop up to $1,500. And an individual board member may also apply separately for 50% off a member training up to $250. Funds are available on a first-come, first-served basis. We did include a link there, so you can visit masb.org/fund for more information. When you visit that website, you also have a chance to complete an online application or download a printable application. You'll also find a series of frequently asked questions regarding the Member Assistance Fund if you have any questions that are that you need answered. So now that we've gone through a general overview, let's take a little more look at board development. In 2019, the National Association of School Boards Center for Public Education reviewed studies and research regarding what makes an effective board, one that impacts student achievement. They found that there are 8 common characteristics of effective school boards. If you are interested in learning more about these characteristics, Stacy Bogard, MASB's Assistant Director of Communications, PR, and Marketing, wrote a piece in the February 2019 issue of Dashboard. As we walk through them, please think about whether these indicators describe your board. Are there any areas that you want to improve on? We're here to help with all of that. So our first characteristic of an effective school board is committing to a vision of high expectations for student achievement and quality instruction and defining clear goals toward that vision. The Lighthouse Study by the Iowa Association of School Boards, done in 2001 and again in 2007, offer details about the importance of identifying goals. In high-achieving districts, board members adopted goals and had detailed knowledge about their relationship to curriculum, instruction, assessment, and staff development. As a result, these public officials could identify not only the purposes and processes behind school improvement initiatives, but also the board's role in supporting these efforts. By comparison, in low-achieving districts, board members were only vaguely aware of school improvement initiatives, researchers noted. They were sometimes aware of goals, but seldom able to describe actions being taken by staff members to actually improve learning. So if you and your board feel that this first characteristic might be an area in which you could strengthen your skills, though it's not an exhaustive list, here are several recommendations. Strategic planning services. These are customized strategic planning and goal setting services that provide a framework for getting input from stakeholders. They create opportunities to develop or revise the mission and vision of the district. You can develop a process for establishing short and long-term goals, and it creates a plan for implementation, evaluation, and improvement, among others. CBA 251, Strategic Planning. In this CBA, you'll learn the board's role in setting strategic direction and developing goals for the district. CBA 381, Focus on Student Achievement. This course explores the role of a local school board in advancing student achievement through multiple strategic and visioning tasks. All right, our next characteristic, we're going back to the Lighthouse Study once again. Board members consistently expressed their belief in the learning ability of all children and gave specific examples of ways that learning had improved as a result of district initiatives. Poverty, lack of parental involvement, and other factors were described as challenges to be overcome, but not as excuses. The top quote here is from an example of an effective board, and the bottom is from an ineffective board, so you can see the differences. Here are a few more recommendations that address this characteristic. CBA 105, Instruction and Curriculum. This is an introductory course that will provide board members with an understanding of the components of an effective curriculum delivery system and the board's role in curriculum, instruction, and assessment in order to enable student achievement. CBA 302, Understanding Assessments. Participants in this course will gain a deeper understanding of the why behind assessment administration, the types of assessment practices that help inform and drive instructional practices, and how data can be used to set direction for entire school systems. CBA 343 is Data First, Teacher Quality. We all agree that students must have access to highly effective teachers. So in this class, you'll learn how boards can use data to determine equitable access to effective teachers and how boards can align their decisions to improve teacher quality and access. The third characteristic is the ability to be accountability driven, spending less time on operational issues and more time focused on policies to improve student achievement. An administrator in the CPE study summed up the board's work. Boards held the superintendent and his or her colleagues accountable for progress, but did not engage in the daily administration of schools. One board member explained, "I'm not a professional educator. The superintendent and her staff are the professionals, and we say to them, these are the results we want to see. You are in charge of how to do it." Results from the Lighthouse 2 study also show that districts made gains when they were able to focus on achievement rather than administrative issues. In the majority of districts, boards spent more than double the amount of time on policy and student achievement than they did prior to the Lighthouse 2. It was also common for these districts to schedule additional work sessions on student achievement. A few recommendations for this characteristic are The Roles and Responsibilities Workshop, which helps members understand just that. CBA 102, Governing Through Policy. This is another 100 level course that will teach the necessary skills and knowledge for establishing policy. CBA 298, Creating High Performing Schools. This is designed to give examples of specific policies and strategies boards can adopt to improve learning for students and adults. And I know we've mentioned the Lighthouse Project by the Iowa School Boards Association a few times now. We know that it's a study that is a study of how boards impact student achievement. So MASB has taken that research and created GPS, a 4-day, scheduled as 2 sessions, intensive program focused on what this means on the ground in your district. So that's just a little sneak peek. There are more details that will be coming soon as we work on that. Characteristic 4, again, we're going to touch on the Lighthouse Study because it's just been so impactful. They were particularly relevant with this characteristic. An effective school board establishes a collaborative relationship with staff and the community and establishes a strong communication structure to inform and engage both internal and external stakeholders in setting and achieving district goals. Research shows that school board members in high-achieving districts had strong communication between the superintendent, staff, and each other. They received information from many sources, including the superintendent, curriculum director, principals, teachers, and sources outside the district. While the superintendent was the primary source of information, he or she was not the only source. In addition, findings and research were shared among all board members. For comparison, in low-achieving districts, board members expressed concern that not all information was shared or shared equally. As a result, researchers said that some felt left out of the information flow. When connecting with the community, high-achieving boards were able to give concrete examples of spaces where they had connected with and listened to their communities. Staff members commented that the board was supportive and would respect and listen to them. Again, as you know, this is not an exhaustive list, but does provide a good idea on how to increase this area of your board work if it's needed. Our Board President's Workshop focuses on the role of the board president, as well as how they can best collaborate and work with other board members and the superintendent. CBA 106, Community Relations Leadership. In this course, you'll learn the basics of building strong community support for schools and education. CBA 232, Communicating Effectively in Difficult Times. You can come away from this course with practical, research-based ways to communicate effectively with parents, community groups, the media, and others in times of stress or controversy. CBA 246, Advanced Community Relations. You can discover new approaches on how to communicate and listen to your audiences and how that input can benefit board decision-making. CBA 260, Public Speaking. In this course, it focuses on effective oral communication for school leaders. You'll learn how to speak with confidence and to use persuasive communication techniques to express leadership. Plus, it's interactive. You'll have a chance to practice your own public speaking and listen to others practice theirs. CBA 264, Shaping Public Opinion. This last course focuses on trust and credibility issues, giving you tools to build community involvement and lasting support for your school programs and reforms.
Characteristic 5 of effective school boards says effective school boards are data savvy. They embrace and monitor data even when the information is negative and use it to drive continuous improvement. So a couple things that the research fleshed out here. When we looked at lower performing districts, we saw practices like boards were providing very little evidence in considering data for making decisions. Instead, in the decision process, they discussed anecdotes or personal experiences. One quote from the study said that the board talked very generally about test scores and relied on the interpretation made by the superintendent. As a result, board members believed the superintendent, quote, owned the information. leaving it to the top administrator to interpret the data and recommend solutions. Right now, we know that the superintendent is an important source of information, but this characteristic says that boards are looking to embrace and monitor data. So, what does it look like for an effective board to do that? The research tells us that effective boards are not afraid to confront that negative data, but instead want to use it to improve teaching and learning. An effective board is looking to identify specific student needs through data and then justifying their decisions based on that. And they're not shy about discussing trends, even hard ones like dropout rates or test scores or what students need when it comes to that data, and that they are seeking it on a regular basis, whether that's at a board meeting or in writing. So, a couple of things that we want to bring to you around this characteristic. The first one is CBA 109, data informed decision making. That is exactly what it says it is. This course it's a primer for board members to look at what data is, how to read it, and how it can inform your decisions. Also, we want to bring to your attention that we actually have an entire slate of courses that we call our data skills specialty certification. That's a series of CBA classes specifically designed to strengthen your data muscles. And one of the things that we are working on right now is to update those courses so you can look for revamped, redesigned, updated courses coming your way all around data in the next few months. Both in person and online, by the way. That's very exciting. Characteristic number 6 is effective school boards align and sustain resources, such as professional development, to meet district goals. District budgets are complex, to say the least. So there's a lot to understand about how it functions, where the money comes from and how it can be spent. Lots of rules are in place around that. More than that, though, effective boards understand that budgets are a reflection of the values that we hold, and they align budgets to meet their district goals. One area where this is most apparent is professional development. So, professional development, research tells us very clearly that PD impacts student achievement when teachers have time and support to practice the new things that they are learning. So, for example, bringing a presenter in to speak to staff about new trends in literacy instruction might be pretty cost effective, but most likely it won't actually impact outcomes from the classroom. Instead, sustained job-embedded coaching around teaching reading, that is going to impact student achievement, but it requires a bigger slice of the budget. So when we have aligned our resources to our district goals, it's perhaps easier to see that and to prioritize it if our goal is to increase reading scores. Right. When we align our resources, that phrase, we put our money where our mouth is, right? If we say this is our goal, then we have PD that backs up that goal and supports it. To understand more about school finance, we do have a couple CBA courses that we would encourage you to start with. The first is CBA 103, Basic School Finance, as well as CBA 215, Advanced School Finance. Both of these classes will bring you instruction by people who are experts in school budgets and district budgets, but they speak our language and will answer all of your questions. They make it really palatable, easy to understand. The other one that we wanted to bring to your attention here, again, is CBA 105, Curriculum and Instruction. And that CBA, you'll spend a good amount of time looking at the Iowa Lighthouse project and specifically what they have to share with us around professional development for teachers. Really powerful stuff. Characteristic number 7 says effective school boards lead as a united team with the superintendent, each from their respective roles with strong collaboration and mutual trust. Districts with a strong board superintendent relationship had greater student achievement as measured by dropout rates, the percentages of students going to college, and test scores. This is a real, I want you just to kind of stop and think about this for a minute. This is one of the things that makes boards effective. Having positive relationships among your team impacts student achievement. Wow, that's a lot to think about. It's not just data, it's not just finances, it's how we work together as a team. Characteristics of quality governance really look at the idea of having a trusting, collaborative relationship between the board and superintendent. A quality governance situation is one where conditions and culture and an organizational structure is there that allows the superintendent to function as the chief executive and instructional leader in the district, where a board isn't looking to micromanage and instead allows the superintendent to do her or his job effectively. But there's also accountability in that relationship. We know that evaluation of the superintendent according to mutually agreed upon goals and procedures is an important part of your work as a board, as well as effective communication between the superintendent and the board. So some things that we have to bring your way around strengthening these relational muscles. The first that we would invite you to is the board self-assessment that we mentioned earlier. Again, this is a free tool available for you on our website at masb.org. And it will give time for reflection, how you are working together as a governance team. Another tool at your disposal is a communications or team building workshop. Communication is a powerful thing, right? We all have heard examples of how you can say one thing and it's heard a different way, and challenges are created just in communication. Strengthening those skills of communication can really impact your work as a governance team. Also, we want to let you know that we can provide to you a facilitated superintendent evaluation. If you are new to the process and your board wants someone to walk through it with you, MASB can serve you in that capacity. And finally, CBA 276, Board Superintendent Relations, is an entire CBA course dedicated to strengthening and maintaining that relationship between the board and your superintendent. It's a really important and impactful course. Okay, last one, characteristic 8 says effective school boards take part in team development and training, sometimes with their superintendent, to build shared knowledge, values, and commitment for their improvement efforts. So board development and training is a clear theme within this research space. We have heard it again and again. In high achieving districts in the Lighthouse Study from Iowa, school board members said that they regularly participated in activities in which they learned together as a group. They cited frequent work sessions and study sessions, opportunities for inquiry and discussion prior to making decisions. In low achieving districts, however, board members said they did not learn together except for when the superintendent or other staff members made presentations at board meetings. Taking the time to invest in learning together impacts your effectiveness as a board. And as Megan shared at the beginning of our time together, we know that there's public support for that. It's not something that we need to shy away from. Another thing that Lighthouse said around this is that this is true for both formal and informal learning. So some formal opportunities that MASB can bring your way are things like the Summer Leadership Institute we have coming up in August, or the annual leadership conference, whether that's attending together in person or having a watch party together, where you are hearing the same things and having discussion around them. Those opportunities are incredibly rich and make a difference in how you can function together as a board. And of course, the custom workshops that we have spent time talking about, where we will come to your district. Spending time learning together, focused on a topic, is a really important tool that you have in your arsenal here at MASB. Another opportunity that we wanted to shine a light on is the idea of informal learning together, kind of taking advantage of some of this technology and changes that have come our way because of the pandemic, things like recorded webinars. So MASB has a library of recorded webinars ready for you. They might be things like recent conferences that we had, the Spring Institute, back in April, or the Winter Institute, the Labor Relations Conference. Those are all recorded and archived for you to access. Also, one-day kind of standalone workshops like preparing for your organizational meeting or the board's role in superintendent success. Also exciting for us is last year's annual leadership conference was virtual, and all of the conference sessions were recorded. And that conference was a free conference for MASB members. And because of that, you still have access to the entire library of the 2020 Annual Leadership Conference sessions, every breakout session, every general session. They cover everything from diversity, equity, and inclusion to literacy, to helping teachers grow in their leadership skills. I mean, just everything you could think of that you would want to access is there from ALC, and it's free to you right now. So we encourage you to access those. They're all self-paced. You could watch them on your own or watch them together as a governance team. And you will receive 1 education credit for every webinar from ALC that you watch. You can find more information about MASB's recorded webinars at masb.org/virtual-learning. And I'm sure someone will post that in the chat for us momentarily, so you could just click that link too. So speaking of education credits, we take your development as a school leader very seriously, and we want to honor your work and your commitment to that. And the way that we do that, one of the ways we do that, is through the Board Member Awards program. So this certification is the cornerstone of MASB's CBA classes, and it was created in 1990 with input from sitting board members, Michigan representatives from higher education and administrative organizations. And its goal is really to enhance the ability of school board members to improve Michigan public schools and student achievement for its students. So Megan is going to walk you through a little bit more about our board member award program.
All right, thank you. So there are 7 levels, as you can see on your screen right now. You'll also notice the requirements that go along with each level. In addition to these individual awards, we also have awards for boards of education for when an entire board reaches the same level. For example, the Honor Board Award is given when all board members have achieved the certification status or level 1. We mentioned one of our certifications earlier, but I want to kind of expand on that a bit more. So we have 2 specialty certifications. We have an advocacy skills and a data skills. The classes that are grouped together in these certifications help you do what the names imply. So you can grow your skills as an advocate for your district and students, and you can also get a better understanding of how to utilize data to ultimately affect student achievement. So you can find more information about these award levels by visiting the address shown on the left-hand side of your screen. Another aspect of this are our MASB tally sheets. They're used to keep track of your participation and attendance at events and conferences for the Certified Board Member Awards program. You may have noticed that education credits are part of the requirements of a lot of those levels. All of your attendance at all of our MASB conferences, workshops, CBA courses, those are all recorded on your transcript, so you don't need to worry about that. But completing a tally sheet allows you to receive education credit for additional work outside of the association. So this could include attending or serving as a panelist or speaker at a regional, state, or national education conference. It could be through promoting education through letters to the editor or meeting with a member of the state legislature or Congress. So you can submit pieces of evidence of your participation with your tally sheet to receive credit. We have just undergone a rigorous review process for our tally sheets, and they have been updated to reflect the virtual world of conferences and webinars that we've been living in for the past year. So while we haven't quite published the newest version yet, you can learn more and see the updated tally sheet when it's made available by visiting the address at the bottom of your screen. So when all of this comes together, we want to celebrate you. So awards are earned within the calendar year, January to December. Award recipients are then notified the following spring by MASB as we get your pins and certificates ready. Though the process has looked a bit different lately, CASBA award ceremonies are typically held at your local ISD or RESA, and an MASB staff member will proudly be there to present you with your award. One change that we've implemented throughout this pandemic, though, is a new virtual celebration in your honor. So we hosted the 2020 My Board Awards on Thursday, April 29. We had great turnout from board members across the state as well as their families. So it was really fun to have everybody together in one virtual room. This will certainly be another idea that we will carry on into the future. So with that, our time is coming to an end. And so we've covered a lot of the major components of our CBA program and board development. We really appreciate you being here with us today. We've got about 11 minutes and we are happy to answer any questions at this time. Cindy, do you want to share any questions that members may have with us?
I do. First, I don't know if it was mentioned that about free CBA 101. Did we touch on that? Because as a new board member, if you were elected or appointed after November 3rd, 2020, up until the end of this year, you can take our Fundamentals of School Board Service, CBA 101, which is normally $180. You can take it for free. So just reach out to your superintendent secretary to do that registration to find out how your district handles registration. But, or if you have any questions, you can call me. I am the registrar and membership coordinator. So far, we only have one question. Anyone who wants to use or ask a question, use that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and I'll be able to ask it. The one question we have right now is, can we get a copy of the Iowa Lighthouse Study?
I will see if I can put my hands on that quickly. I'm going to put in the chat right now a copy of the 8 Traits of Effective School Boards, and I'm pretty sure that they cite the Lighthouse research in their footnotes. So if you were looking for the research of that, I'm pretty sure it's there. So I'll drop that link in the chat right now.
Perfect. Does anyone have any other questions? Feel free to put it in the Q&A, and it looks like we've got a few coming in, ladies. I was interested in taking. Hold on, I'm going to read it. Okay. Person was interested in taking CBA 251 ahead of the district's strategic planning work, but was told that the content is being updated to incorporate the whole child initiative. Is there a timeline on this update, if I have the info right? So she's wanting to confirm that she's got the right information and if we have a timeline.
So I think Debbie Stair is on with us this afternoon. I'm gonna defer to her on this one. So Debbie Stair, if you haven't met Debbie yet, Debbie is our assistant director of leadership development, board development. Sorry, Debbie. But Debbie is Debbie heads up all those strategic plans that we do. I do know that there's some conversation. There she is. There's some conversation around this, but Debbie, do you have something more specifically that you can speak to?
Yeah, I was trying to type away here, but yeah, so actually we are currently working through the details of new processes, and the change to the CBA class probably won't happen until later into the next school year. But for a district who's undertaking the process now, or about to start, many of the items that are included in the class are going to be taken care of as you move through the process. So discussion around what the process looks like is normally shared up front with the board, as well as board monitoring and other important components. But we certainly could, that individual could reach out to me and we could have a conversation about that.
Thanks, Debbie.
The next question is one I can answer. The person is asking if MASB maintains transcripts for MASB classes or programs taken. And the answer is yes. Each board member has a tab when you log into our website with your special login and password that you should have gotten. And if you haven't gotten it, we can help you with that. But then there's a tab that says transcript, and that lists all the classes that you've completed. We do post them quarterly. So if you took a class, during the quarter and you haven't seen it, it's just because we haven't posted them for that quarter yet. All right. And let me see if there's any other questions. Looks like that's it.
Well, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. We appreciate you and we appreciate your time. As always, I hope you know that we are here at your service, and anything that we can do to answer your questions or support you in this work that you're doing, we are honored to do it. Feel free to reach out anytime, and if we can't answer your question, we will connect you with the person who can. It's been great to, can't wait to be back in person. I'm with you. we're looking forward to it. We are really looking forward to it. So until then, we will see you. Do know that a recording of this webinar with some links, I saw Stacy said we could include some links in that email as well. We will get that out to you shortly. I'm not sure when Stacy will know, but be on the lookout for it in your inbox. And of course, this series continues next month. So we will look forward to seeing you then, if not before. Have a wonderful afternoon.